Welcome to Dream Central Station, where we provide holistic personal growth through inspiration, wisdom, education, and action to create and shape the life that we desire. We'll walk along the path in which the science of success and the art of achievement align to intentionally advance in life and manifest our dreams. In other words, we're going to focus on transitioning from going to sleep to dream to waking up and living. Now, if you've had the opportunity to look at last week and you liked it, I hope that you went and you hit the like button. I'll ask you to do the same for this week. Only if you like it, you watched it again, you like it, hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe so you can get the fresh content that I provide on a weekly basis and any additional tidbits I might throw out in the form of a short. And last but certainly not least, please invite your friends, relatives, family members, associates, anybody who aspires to make their dream come into fruition. That's our lane. Again, this is Dream Central Station, and we're about to get underway with our review. So on average, we said this last week, on average, globally, people spend about 6 hours and 58 minutes a day on screens connected to the internet. Now, they may be working. Some may be researching and finding cures for illnesses and that kind of stuff. But we all know people better than that. We want to be entertained. So what do? We take about 6 hours and 58 minutes worldwide to look at the current trends, to look at the latest gossip and celebrity announcements and things like that. But we do so sometimes to the detriment of our own dream. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention and talk to you a little bit today about time and how time is an invaluable resource and the root currency for life. Additionally, I wanted to throw out this fun fact talking about America. In the United States, we actually beat the global average by 6 minutes. 6 minutes, Dougie Fresh, you're on. It just felt good. I just had to do it. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. I had to go ahead and do that real quick, get that out of my system. So I could tell you that in America, we take about 7 hours and 4 minutes every day out of our 24-hour day. We take that currency of time and we apply it to a screen connected to the internet. So time. Let's get into time just a little bit. I put an asterisk next to this because I really wanted to first express my gratitude and appreciation for you taking your time out to be a part of this. Because you could be doing anything you want right now. You could be anywhere in the world right now, but you decided to park yourself wherever you are on your device and peruse through to make an investment in your own dream. So I think about this, and I also thought about this in a way that time is the currency of life. And what do I mean by that? If you think about it, when people go to work, what they're really doing is taking the time that they've been given as a human being that made it into this planet by birthway of their mother and father. They've matriculated or grown through the educational systems, and they signed on to get hired to do a job for a certain amount of hours a day. So in exchange for their time, they actually get a paycheck. See? So time is a currency that we humans exchange for money. And in turn, we take our money and we acquire things. You know, and it's funny because I'm thinking about Robert Kiyosaki and the cash flow quadrant and how people who are employed by others exchange their time for money. I got a few people I know that are business owners, and they actually hire folks, and the folks that they hire exchange their time for money, while they, the business owners, actually created leverage to sit back and do whatever they like. They created freedom in their lane. And that could be a dream realized. Maybe that's something that you aspire to do. Robert Kiyosaki, shout out to him, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the cash flow quadrant. So I'm moving forward. I wanted to talk about time and just look at how invaluable it is. And I'll get on the dry erase board for a second because we have 24 hours in a day. And everyone gets the same 24 hours, but this is where wisdom kicks in. So if I'm at 24 hours, I take 1/3 of that for sleep. What does that leave me with? 16 hours. Very good. See, those are my mathematicians. All right, so now I have 16 hours left. What did I say? If I'm employed for 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week on average, say that, full-time job, right? Then I'm working. So I'll commit job. 8 hours. 8 hours goes for the job, right? So now I have 8 hours left. Now remember that fun fact that I started with and why it's so significant, why we have to be good stewards of our time and mindful of what we do and intentional. So if I spend the next 7 hours 4 minutes. And that's going to leave me with about 56 minutes to myself. So again, I just had to express that appreciation I have for you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to incorporate this in your screen time. I think that involves a degree of wisdom. I was in a master's degree course back in 2014, 13, 14. And I got into an argument with one of the students in the class because he said there's no excuse for people in America to not have what they want. In other words, whatever you aspire to do, he said, you have enough information at your fingertips to get that. But my argument on the other side is, if we don't know what to look for, if we don't know what to search for, then we could very well fall prey to the 7 hours and 4 minutes of mindless screen time and scrolling activity. And that's what Dream is all about. I had an opportunity to look at a Netflix comedy special with Dave Chappelle, The Dreamer. And I noticed that he outlined how he, at one point was standing in the same place 23 years later, and his girlfriend 23 years prior was pregnant with his first child, and they were together, and he basically said, now she's my wife of this much time, and my son is adult enough for me to indulge in some adult things with him. So he outlined how we could be in someone else's dream, and we live dreams of our own. But what I'd like to do is actually walk you through the process of dream realization. And one of those things, we're going to talk about resources later on in our conversation. Please remember to consider time a resource. Another thing, and why I have to thank you, is because time being a root currency of life, we've established that. Let's talk about the attention. I think about how not only do you provide your time in parking yourself in front of your device to watch me, walk from side to side, point to my visual aids, look at the ring light in my glasses, or I can take them off, whatever the case may be. I don't know. I want you to think about how, in essence, you are also paying attention. So this is really going to cost you two things. It may not cost you money to watch this. Any additional money from the Wi-Fi, the cellular plan that you have, and the wireless device that you acquired, but it's going to cost you your time and attention. And then the next thing that I would ask, and this is not for me so much as it is for you, is to not only give it your time and attention, but to be intentional in doing the things that you've actually learned here. A good friend of mine, we were in a car together for a few hours, and he said something that changed my life. I am. He gave me an acronym. I'm big on those. Dream is an acronym. I am is an acronym. I am. Come on. Who's the master? Come on, Bruce Leroy. I am. That's what I think of. That powerful moment in Barry Gordy's The Last Dragon, 1985. One of the best movies, hands down. Certainly one of my favorites. But he said information plus application equals manifestation. Manifestation. All right, look, don't get on me if I misspell anything, because there is no spell check on this dry erase mark, okay? But my man told me that information plus application equals manifestation. So it's not enough just to know. You got to practice it. You have to apply it. And I would tell you that this plus sign could go to a multiplication sign when you have skillful. See, this is what will make it exponentially manifestation. The skillful application, because that's what wisdom is. The skillful application of knowledge. And that's what we're going to delve into. And that's why I said this whole Dream Central Station is really for us to express our dreams, to call them out, to capture them. Remember, I talked about Febreze in the atmosphere. Where's my dream? Here's the Febreze in the atmosphere, right? But if I don't capture it, like it's captured in the container, it'll dissipate. That's what we want to do with our dreams. It smells good too. So just keeping those things in mind. That time is the currency of life, and whatever we train ourselves to do daily, that's what we'll become. Whatever we give our time and attention to, we'll get more of it. It's almost like you're providing yourself an opportunity, all right, to grow and become whatever it is that you'd like to be. When you get intentional and you document who it is that you'd like to be and what it is that you'd like to accomplish, Well, now you're actually getting an agreement with your destiny. So we established that the currency of life is time, and we already talked about how we exchange our time for money, and then our money actually buys us other things. This is also true. When you give your time and attention to acquiring a certain skill, it'll make you more marketable. Henry Ford said, "It's been my observation that most people get ahead during the time others waste." And it's like, well, who was Henry Ford? I'm talking about Ford Motor Company. I'm talking about Detroit, Michigan. All right. I'm talking about Henry Ford, the one who found a way to mass produce automobiles. He took the time while everybody else might have been out at the pub or whatever they did back in his day. He took the time to go away and retreat. It's a fun fact. Him, Harvey Firestone, and Thomas Edison, they were actually friends. And they would go away on retreats where they could envision what they wanted to bring into fruition. They would actually intentionally get together, form what you would call a mastermind. Shout out to my man Al Hall, aka the Dream Coach. They would form a mastermind, a big brain between the three of them, and they would come up with all the different ideas that would help them. Now, if you think about the Ford Model T, which was the mass-produced automobile that came out of Henry Ford's imagination, that incorporated electricity and lights. All right. It also incorporated wheels. So we're thinking about Harvey Firestone. We're thinking about Thomas Edison. We're thinking about Henry Ford. So not only, remember what I said last week, if you don't want to be at the top by yourself, then take a team with you. Find a like-minded group of individuals with a common goal and latch on. Well, so fun fact, another thing, these facts just keep hitting me. They told me, the internet actually posted, the internet, that we have the average income of our 5 best friends. So just keep that in mind. You know, they say birds of a feather flock together. All right. Be not deceived. Evil communication corrupts good manners. All throughout the ages, wise people have made observations that the people you hang around, the people you spend your time with, they actually have a profound impact on the overall outcome of your life. So I just want to drop some of these truths on you. And then I wanted to do this one little project, fun project. We're going to go to the calculator, and I promise we'll get back into our dream notes. But I had to take this segue to tell you how invaluable your time is. All right, so now we're going to go to the blue marker because we're doing math. And like I said, math is one of those things that it might not be as fun as I'd like for it to be. So if I use the color blue, it'll make it more interesting for sure. So let's talk about time being a currency of life. And then I'll wrap this thing up. And I guess our little asterisk, our bonus, talking about time being a currency of life. But let's just say that I'm 30 years old. And 30 is 365 days in a year, right? That's what Anita Baker said. All right. So that means that I've lived, if I'm 30 years old, that means I've lived for 10,950 days. All right. Now, the average life expectancy in America is about 79.1 years. And I think it fluctuates. It goes up and down based off of, who took the measurement, the medications, people's life expectancy. It fluctuates. So let's just say 80. So 80 years times 365 years gives us 29,200. All right. So this is 80 years old. And this is 30 years old. Now, that doesn't really look like a huge difference between 80 and 30, right? And it really doesn't seem like that much time. So we'll subtract 80 years minus 30 years. And of course, you'd be like, well, that's 50 years. I like to pull it up in days because days kind of give us a sobering look at how much time we actually have. 10,950 days. It gives us 18,250 days. So I just want you to think, allow yourself to imagine for a second. And we're going to do a lot of imagination today. But just imagine if you're 30 years old and you aspire to live to the life expectancy of 80 years. And of course, you could play with this any way you'd like, because me personally, I'm going to be 100. I'm going to live to be 100. So you got to add more days up top. All right. So I might be a little bit older than that right there, but I'm going to live a lot longer than this right here. But what I'm saying is In that 50 years, you have 18,250 days. And this is where I'd actually show you this visual aid on this side of our screen. I want you to look at this, all right? So think about these numbers in terms of bricks. Some people who are not intentional with their time, they waste it like scattered bricks in a field somewhere. So just think about your life in a figurative sense, looking at it like this. Do we want our lives to be like scattered bricks? Or do we want to provide ourselves with the architectural framework by deliberately realizing ends achieved methodically? This is a benefit to living a dream by being intentional and uh, very detailed with how you walk your life out, right? Having a plan. Do we want to be like this? Because this is also made of bricks. So we got the scattered bricks, and then we have the brick house. Yeah, Commodores. Come on, man. I know you heard that. Ow. Somebody wanted to say ow. All right. Or if we start this a little bit earlier, like I said, well, Benjamin Franklin said, early to bed and early to rise will make one healthy, wealthy, and wise. Or will we take time out to have this kind of manifestation? See, it's all about what you do with the bricks that you have available. I think about I played college sports at D. Hampton University for 2 years as a walk-on athlete. And our coach used to give us some truths kind of like this. And I really kind of miss these conversations, which is another reason why I got to thank you for tuning in. But he said everybody has a birth date and a death date. Notice dates have everything to do with time. So you got your birth, then you have a timeline. And that's where it stops. You got your death. All right. And he said you really can't control when you were born. Right? And you really can't control when you die. Although we like to. Of course, we can make investments in our health. We can look both ways before we cross the street. All right. We can ensure that we do right by people and we travel in places where people do right by us and we don't put ourselves in any additional harm than we need to. Right. But the only thing that you really have control over is here. So I implore you today to take initiative and make every moment count. Take initiative. Make every moment count. You know, I know that MC in hip hop means that you can move the crowd. Well, one of the best things about time is we actually get to be an MC. We can take initiative and make every moment count. That's another acronym, and this is free change for you. Um, I think about how time flies, but you're the pilot. And I could go on and on with all the different cliches, but somebody really needs to hear that your time and attention is valuable. And it's not valuable to me for likes and views and clicks and everything else. I mean, I guess it is, but even more so, it's invaluable for you to be intentional and steward your time wisely. I feel like if we treated our time like we treated our money, then we would probably be better stewards over our time. Let me give you an example. Somebody calls me up and says, "Hey man, how you doing?" And then they want to complain to me about something for the next 48 minutes. More likely than not, I'll probably listen to them for at least 48 minutes before I realize in my heart and mind, which I probably would already have realized, oh, it's that conversation where they're going to complain the whole time. Then you're going to provide some form of advice and I kind of brush it off because they really didn't call you for advice. They called you to vent, which is it's cool if that's what you got to do. But that 48 minutes, if that was $48 and the person was like, "Yo, man, can I have $48? I'd probably be like, "Hey, for what?" I'd probably ask them 48 minutes worth of questions before I gave them any money. So just respect your own time. And again, that's why I'm thankful for you. Just respecting this dream platform to really learn how to bring your dreams into fruition. Fun proverb from our favorite wise person. I'm going to call him my favorite wise person. I almost said favorite king, but my favorite king is Jesus. He is the King of Kings. And as long as I live, I'm going to make sure you understand that that's my stance on everything. That's the foundation of my belief system. All right. Because we are in the kingdom. And we'll get into that later on. Proverbs chapter 19, verse 20 in the New Living Translation says, get all the advice and instruction you can so you'll be wise for the rest of your life. Get all the instruction and advice that you can so then you'll be wise for the rest of your life. The earlier you get in on this wisdom, the more you'll be able to implement these things. Information plus application equals manifestation. The more wisdom that you acquire, the more skill, the more manifestation. The more you can do with the information you've been given. Some people are at higher levels of skillful application than others. So they can take the information they've been given and the skill that they have, and their manifestation rate might be a little bit higher. It's like a seasoned farmer. If I have a brand new farmer from, say, an elementary school kid that plants the same apple seed as a farmer in a little cup with a little bit of soil and puts a paper towel over it, then they may get a little bud from the apple tree, over time. Go ahead. All right, kids, go to the window, check your cups, see if anything grew. Versus a person who farms for a living. They come from a lineage of farmers, and they have apple orchards everywhere. Apple trees, falling down. And it's like, wait, see the difference between the application? One is at a more senior level, a mastery level of application. And the way to get better over time is to do it over and over again. Repetition, right? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Well, there's the element of time and energy. You give your time and energy, you pay attention, you're intentional, you're going to be great. I got a good friend of mine from college, and shout out to him. I'm not going to say his name, but if you know, you know. All right. He has a son right now, and his son, congratulations, just won a national championship in flag football. And I was watching him because I listen to what people say. I listen to what y'all say on social media. And he was in an interview, the gentleman, a friend of mine from school, and he said, I played football at the highest level. The best thing that I've done in my life was play football. Why would I not impart this? Why would I not give this to my son? And I think about how he's giving it to his son, to his son at a very early age. The boy might be 10 years old, and he's fantastic. He's phenomenal. And I actually look at how not only does he provide that fatherhood, that tutelage, that mentorship, that love and quality time, and even the tough love, but he's actually out there training with them and training the other boys and helping to build that young man. So shout out to him. But my point is, you get all the advice and instruction that you can, and the younger you start, the better off you'll be. Malcolm Gladwell has a book out called Outliers, and he said there's a 10,000 hour rule. Now, what is a 10,000 hour rule? Whatever you spend 10,000 hours on, you're going to become a master at it. What happens with young people, when they do something for 10,000 hours, you get young people to do it faster than their peers. Naturally, they become the standout athletes. And again, that's low-hanging fruit. Everybody can look at the athlete and how gifted they are and see that. But what about the speaker? What about the banker? What about the mathematician? What about the person with oratory acumen that yields their skills to teaching literature courses or writing books? 10,000 hours, it works the same. What about that auto mechanic? So I'm just saying, all right. So now we go back and we're looking at our review from last week. So deliberately realize ends achieved methodically is the process that leads to progress so that you can de-stress when you would otherwise be distressed. Well, how does that work? All right, because the dream method ties your invisible future, the spiritual, intangible, invisible future, to your physical, tangible present. And it helps you to bring those two together. In other words, I say you're cooperating with your destiny. A lot of times I hear people talking about dreams and they speak around them. They're like, hey, well, may your dreams come true. You need to dream big. Nobody can control your dream. They can't hold your dream down. It was all a dream. Dreamer. So on and so forth. Dreams can come true. It could happen to you if you're young at heart. I get all these cliche terms, but one of the things that kind of bothers me, and this is why I know I need to do something to fix it, is Who is going to tell us how to actually do it? Who is going to help us? So I raised my hand. Uh, and I also wanted to tell you that I care. I care, right? I really do have a heart for people who want more than they currently have, but have experienced that frustration of seeming like they're not moving anywhere, right? Because I think at some point in my life I was there. Matter of fact, I know, and I know what that feels like. That hope deferred making the heart sick. But then I also know what it's like to have a dream fulfilled. It is a tree of life. Matter of fact, it gives you so much fruit off of that tree that when people see the breakthrough that you experienced, when they see the manifestation of your dream, they get inspired themselves. And then all of a sudden, they start saying, man, well, maybe it's possible for me to do whatever it is in my lane that I like to do. All right. So dream is the process that leads to progress. We're going to learn that so that you don't have to have so you can de-stress in moments of distress. If you know where you're going and you've seen the end in mind, you're less likely to freak out in the meantime. If you know where you're going and you see the end in mind, you're less likely to freak out in the meantime. See, because a lot of stuff happens between where you are right now and where you see yourself in the future. And it can be so detrimental that if you don't employ the elements of the dream method, then you might quit midway. Where otherwise, you hang in there, you'd win. You'd realize the dream. You would actually make it to the end of whatever it is that you aspire to do. So, in essence, dream is like life navigation. So, life navigation versus land navigation. A good example of land navigation in a non-military term would be putting a GPS in your car, setting your GPS to a destination. So even if you encounter traffic jams, whatever kind of turbulence you might see along your path, you know, even a detour, it'll reroute you. You know that you're headed to a destination. You know about how long it's going to take you. You know that you're going to need a certain amount of fuel. You know where you currently are, and you know where you have to go. And then you also have a vision associated with what you're going to do when you get there. So, and this will come more and more clear as we continue with the conversation. So often we find ourselves distressed in life because we want more. We just don't know exactly what it is. Well, that's where you have your dream. I want more, but I don't know exactly what it is. We're assisted at night because sometimes our Heavenly Father will give us a hint while we sleep. You know, we might dream about something. Be like, man, that's really nice. Or dream about something and it's like, you know what? I really don't think I like that. Matter of fact, last night I had a nightmare that my teeth fell out. I sneezed and my teeth fell out. And I was like, man, I was holding my teeth in my mouth, tried to call my wife. I couldn't find her. And I woke up relieved. Guess what I did when I woke up? Flossed, brushed my teeth, and gargled with some mouthwash, okay? Because it is a dream of mine. Like I got my life dream and I got several dreams along the way. I see myself being 100 years old with all the teeth in my mouth, to include the ones on the side. All right? Ain't nothing wrong with it. Hey, don't get mad at me if you don't have no side teeth. All right? Get an implant. Make that a part of your dream. I want to get the side tooth put in that fell out when I sneezed that one time. Okay. It's my attempt at humor. And bear with me because I'm a dad. I mean, certified father of two. All right. One thing that I like about this, we're going to talk about our imagination in this part because you're not bound by reality with your imagination. So this is the dream process for anybody who is like, what? I'm going to explain it to you. Because I know I keep saying this is learn the process that leads to progress so you can de-stress during times of distress. All right. So your dream is that roundabout thing. Let's just say my dream is to own a barbershop. All right. Bam. Okay. Vision. And we're going to talk about that today. Vision is a vivid description of the future. Goals, milestones. And you want those to be specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. And then your plans are coordinated and resourced to fulfill your goals. All right. And then we talk about a plan, I think about how, no plan survives first contact, or the first thing you do when you plan to do, the first thing that happens when you plan to do something is it meets some type of opposition that negates your plan. So I always encourage people to have a primary, an alternate, a contingency, and an emergency plan. So what we'll do throughout the weeks is go through each one. And I think right now we're entering a transition point between dream and vision. Because if you recall last week, we spoke about two types of dreams. The one that you the one that you go to sleep and encounter that phenomenon. And then we also spoke about vision, the visions that we have throughout the course of the day. And one of the fastest ways that I can get people to envision anything is just to imagine hitting the lottery. All right. So just bear with me. What would you do if you hit the lottery for $500 million? Go ahead. I'll give you the Jeopardy music in the background. No, I won't. In the background of your mind, imagine that. All right. Think about it. Think about that. All right. What did you come up with? Did you pay everybody else's mortgage off so they can't ask you for money? Yeah, because that's what I said I'd do. If I hit the lottery for $500 million, I'd start some type of company where I could donate to charity to pay people's mortgages off, and then they'd be free from that death grip, death grip. All right, and they will be able to do whatever they aspire to. All right, and what if they don't own a house and they're renting? I buy them a house and pay it off, and they'd be able to do that. Right? Can you take care of the taxes, whatever the case may be? And then I would have something like that castle I showed you, right there, right? Just dreaming, right? Dreaming. I want you to think about how invaluable it is to have a vision. And when you think about your vision and where that vision can take you, visions, like dreams, are very spiritual in regard that they are not bound by the physical realm. Time and space does not apply to your vision. Your current situation does not apply to your vision. It doesn't have to dictate what you envision. I think about some of the terms that come up where, let me see. Kanye West said, always had a passion for flashing. Before I had it, I closed my eyes and imagined. Vision. All right. I'm thinking about Sun Tzu in The Art of War. He said that a victorious warrior wins first and then goes to battle, while a defeated warrior goes to battle and seeks to win. Think about that. Karen Sheard, a gospel singer, she said, you got to see it before you see it, or you never will see it. So these are the elements that'll enable you to navigate through life. And in moments where you experience turbulence in life, you won't be in a state of distress because you're employing all four of these elements at the same time. So if my dream is to own a barbershop, a vivid description of the future is to imagine how many chairs would I like in that thing, man. Oh, I need 10 chairs. Now, I might not even have a license to cut hair. I might be just cutting my son's hair in the basement, in the bathroom. But if I'm like, man, I want to own this barbershop, and let me tell you, the building is going to be brick and mortar. It's going to look beautiful. It might not be a castle, but it'll certainly be, some type of organized structure. I want it to be able to seat 40 people, but then I want it to comfortably have 10 big, comfortable leather chairs. I want to have huge mirrors running off on the sides. I want to have a couple wash stations for my barbers to wash their hands. I want flat screen televisions everywhere, so on and so forth. This is what you're doing with your vision. So then while you're going through barber school, which is a part of your plan, and the goal is to actually pass barber school and be able to get certified and be able to cut good hair, right? That's one of the goals. Another goal could be, I need to have a place. I need to have the land and everything else. You're writing these things down as you're working your plan. Say you messed up on the fade. You had no fade at all. You're giving people Bert and Ernie's. And whoever's teaching you is like, you know what? You need to go across the street and fill out an application at the gas station because your skills are in the basement. And you cut your son's hair. Poor kid. I bet you he's getting made fun of at school because he has no fade at all. See what I'm saying? So while the person is ripping you, while you're working the plan, you can envision, no, I'm going to own a barbershop. I'm going to own a barbershop. I will realize that dream. And then it starts to inform, that vision will start to inform you in that present moment. So while the person is telling you that, hey, you can't fade worth anything and you'll never be a good barber, you're like, oh, you know what? You can talk as much yang as you like, sir or ma'am. My vision is to own a barbershop. I'm just getting certified. So I can actually be an owner operator. Okay? So on and so forth. Okay? And then also, there's nothing wrong. Safety in a multitude of counsel. If they're telling you that your skills are in the basement, but they're offering advice and instruction on how you can grow and become better, you certainly want to receive that. All right? So there's a mixture. There's an art to teaching, and there's an art to learning. So we could all afford to be students from people who know a little bit better than us. So we established that your vision is your imagination. All right? Vision in this regard, imagination. If you go back to last week, we talked about two forms of dreams. Vision, this version, vision, imagination, would be similar to, actually the same as the second definition of dream, which is to daydream. All right? We're going to daydream. Your vision cannot be stopped by others. So in addition to your vision not being bound by the physical things in this world, can't be stopped by other people. The only one who can govern the vision that you have is you. It doesn't cost you any more to imagine a Tesla Model S Plaid than it does for you to imagine a Ford Edge, 1999 Ford Edge. All right, or maybe 2008 Ford Edge, whatever the case may be. And no diss to anybody with a 1999 or 2008 Ford Edge. I know that's a crossover, and I had to change it because they might have came out in the 2000s sometime. That's what happens when you get to living for a while. You just start mixing decades, all right? But my point is, your imagination is unlimited. And if you allow your imagination to agree with the destiny you believe you belong in, then it'll be very hard to stop you, right? Matter of fact, nobody can stop you. The only person who will be able to stop you at that point is yourself, all right? So one of the things that I share with people is their future self. And I really love going to career day in elementary school because the children in elementary school are so in tune to their imagination as opposed to adults. I think sometimes adults, we look at imagination as a bad thing. I guess because we've been disappointed throughout our lives. We've been confronted with so much reality that things just don't happen the way we would like for them to. So we get trained to kind of dumb it down. Don't be as creative. To the extent now where I'm standing before adults who are looking at this, encouraging them to use their imagination. Use your imagination daily. See it before you see it. I always had a passion for flashing. Before I had it, I closed my eyes and imagined, right? Imagine yourself successful. Imagine yourself fulfilling that desire, that dream that you had in your heart. If you can do this, then you are well on your way, all right? So I want to bring up 2 points from my favorite wise person. And one of them is, where there is no vision, people cast off restraint. Where there is no vision, people perish. Where you fail to imagine the outcome that you could have, you'll cast off restraint. Remember I told you I wanted to be 100 years old? That's one of my dreams. So if my dream is to be 100 years old, I would envision being 100 years old, sound mind, sound body, plenty of resources. So when it's cold outside, I don't have to shovel snow. You get the point. You see what I'm painting? There are certain things that I have to put in place to do that. But a future concept, and this is the concept of your future self. My future self is staring at me right now through the window of a memory. I want to be able to look back into this moment and say, I remember when I was at Dream Central Station. At 100 years old, I want to look back through the decades and be like, I remember when I first started that channel. You understand? Again, your imagination is not limited to time and space. So in a way, you're time traveling. Okay, I'll do this. Have you ever been in the 8th grade? What was that like? Barely remember. But give yourself an opportunity. Kind of think about it, right? When I was in the 8th grade, first day of school, I had a fresh haircut. I had a high top fade with the round off. at the top, like a snow cone. Oh man. And my mom let me wear my dad's chain. And as the teacher was going through the roll, I remember turning to the side, and the brother beside me had the exact same haircut. And don't you know, we became fast friends. And we're friends to this day. And if he's watching, shout out to him. And do you remember that? All right. So what did I do? What did I do? I just used my mind to travel back. I went to the past to re-experience a fond memory. Well, your mind can work that way in the future as well. And this is where I'm talking about the power of a vision. Where there is no vision, people cast off restraint. If I don't have a vision for being 100 years old and being properly resourced in mind and body and finances, then when it comes time to work on a retirement plan and strategy, I'm going to miss that every time. I'm going to spend whatever I have and not think about the future. I'm not making future-minded decisions because I didn't see it through what I envision. That is the power of visions. Whenever I speak to young people, I try to introduce them to their future self. Because if they have a future and a hope, if they can see themselves outside of wherever they grew up, doing whatever it is that they'd like to do, impacting the lives of other people in a positive way, then that will drive how they govern themselves on a daily basis. I hope I'm making sense. I think about the state of young people right now, in America at least. And it's really sad when you see young lives cut off too early, going too soon. But then you think about where they are getting the substance for their imagination from. Who's pouring into their value system? That's why things like this are very important. Dream Central Station, any positive programming you have to provide. Because the vision is what can actually drive your decision. You know, somebody came up to me at work and they were expressing, different decisions that they'd have to make shortly. And I just asked simply, where do you see yourself in the future? What would you like to see yourself doing in the future? And after they gave me that vivid description, I said, all right, well, now that you've identified what you'd like to see in the future, allow that to govern how you plan and execute, how you plan and operate. Your vision has the ability not only to give you a powerful picture of what may come and get you excited and motivated to do different things later in life. Your vision has the ability to save you from making bad decisions. If you say, hey, I want to retire at 100, I want to be 100 years old. I want to be able to retire at 60, and I don't ever want to need for anything. And then it comes time for you to make contributions into your retirement investments. If you have a vision, it's going to drive you to do that. If you don't, then you won't. It'll protect you from buying concert tickets and, or doing something crazy with your money that you otherwise will be overextended and you can't do right now, right? Visions driving your decision, all right? So fun fact, neuroscientist Dr. Tara Swart explains, looking at images on a vision board primes the brain to grasp opportunities that may otherwise go unnoticed. The brain has a process called value tagging, which imprints important things onto your subconscious and filters out unnecessary information. The brain assigns a higher value to images than written words on a to-do list, says Swart. And the more you look at those images, the more those images move up in importance. So I want you to think about that. Think about the power of envisioning, of having a vision. Where there is no vision, people cast off restraint. And if you don't document, record, or write that vision and make it plain for yourself, then you can't maximize what Dr. Swart is informing us of. And that's why I just tell everybody, if you have a vivid description of your future, whether it be in narrative form, in words, in a paragraph, or it be in a picture as well. That's why I gave you images today. So you can use that imagination, because pictures are worth 1,000 words. So would you rather write 1,000 words or get pictures? And there comes the vision board. Moreover, there are ways you can boost this activity. For example, if you look at your board, if you have a vision board, because you captured that dream, you've colored it in with the vision, If you look at your board right before you fall asleep every night, the images will be imprinted even further. So Dr. Swart must be a dreamer as well, because she's tying the vision in to what she'll encounter at night, to what humans will encounter at night. So it'd be something if you partnered with your dream and vision. So in your sleep, you might dream about something you aspire to do. All right? Or you may have something that you always wanted to do and you allow yourself to envision it. So either your dream informs your vision or your vision is now informing your dream. But either way, it's in the mix. It's working, stirring it up. All right? All right. All right. That's because the brain is very impressionable and it drifts into sleep. And so if you focus your attention on something during that period, particularly on something new, those images are more likely to feature in your dreams and thoughts. This is known as the Tetris effect. Yes, named after the 1980s video game. All right. So as we go on throughout the weeks in our conversation, talking about dreaming, deliberately realized ends achieved methodically, and we pull these elements together, hopefully you're going to implement these things, right? Information plus application equals share that with somebody, it'll become yours. All right. So in closing, I want you to think in terms of these 5 things. All right. If you want to see it in this material world, envision it in the spiritual, non-material realm. Allow yourself to take trips to the future. Think about the favorable outcome. All right. Worry, on the other hand, is an abuse of your imagination. Take that back. If you got something you're worrying about, then take documentation. Why am I worried about it? What's going on with this worry? Okay, so rather than me worry about it, let me come up with things that'll mitigate that worry. Right? And then imagine the favorable outcome. All right? Because if you see it in your mind, then you can see it with your eyes. Because you got to see it before you see it, or you never will see it. All right? Your vision, imagination is unlimited. Number 2, it defies the physical laws of time, space, and current resources. You can see your way out of it. It's an A and B conversation. You can see your way out of it. No, if you find yourself in a circumstance that's too heavy for you to handle and you put your dream together, you'll be able to envision your way out of whatever's surrounding you. Very powerful. Let your vision drive your decisions. Number 3, let your vision drive your decisions. Your vision will protect you from making decisions that lead you away from realizing your dream. Just that simple. Number 4, align your vision to your dream. Write it down to ignite excitement, and vision boards count. And last but certainly not least, if you like today's discussion, make sure you hit that like button. If you know somebody who wants to bring their dreams into fruition, we're going to continue this conversation. Invite them to be a part of it. All right. Hey, from one dreamer to another, I really appreciate you coming out. Remember, dreams are not far-fetched figments of the mythical mind. They are deliberately realized ends achieved methodically.